pH is key to unlocking the benefits of soaking in magnesium. And the way to change the pH of your soaking water is simple: baking soda. We are going to dive deep. Heather asked the question online about adding apple cider vinegar. So before we dive deep on this, I want to thank Team Good Life, because what they're doing is they are collecting questions of people when they ask it on an ad, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the places. And then they're collecting it in a Google Doc. And then I take the Google Doc and I take a couple of those Q&As, and you and I get to talk about them and dive a little bit deeper. So remember, my name's Kristen. I'm a magnesium advocate. I am not a doctor. I am not telling you what to do. I am sharing information about Magnesium Soak, something that I am passionate about and have been talking about for over 20 years because it changed the outcome of my life when I had my own health crash over 20 years ago and ended up in a wheelchair with seizures and all sorts of health issues. So talking about magnesium is something I've been doing for 20 years. And let's dive deep tonight and talk about something that I don't think I've ever talked about. So Heather, a huge thank you to you for asking this question. So she wanted to know, she had two parts to her question. The first one was, can I add apple cider vinegar? Now, apple cider vinegar can be a great thing to soak your feet in, but we run into a problem when we add it to our magnesium soak. Apple cider vinegar is acetic acid, and the pH of that apple cider vinegar runs depending between 2 and 3. Now, the pH of water, your city, municipality water, wait, I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up. It runs between 6.5 and 8.5. The pH of Magnesium Soak from Living the Good Life Naturally is between 7 and 7.5, which optimizes the uptake. So if you take your magnesium and you pour it in a bowl, and then you pour apple cider vinegar in that bowl, which is a good thing to soak in, you're dropping the pH, which is dropping your body's ability to uptake the magnesium. So apple cider vinegar soaks are great. For me personally, I would never add it in my soaking water because I want to optimize my body's ability to uptake that magnesium. So we've talked over the years, you and I, we've talked about hydration. We've talked about a little movement before you soak to get your lymph pumping. We've talked about priming the pump, where you take your finger, put it in the magnesium, and rub it right under your arm on that lymph node right there. Now, women, if you have recently shaved, magnesium is a salt and that will burn and tingle. And so please make sure that's appropriate for you to rub under there, because it is a salt and some people will find it to tingle. I don't, but I've gotten feedback from some of you that you do. So proceed with caution on that one. So we don't want to add apple cider vinegar, but we do want to add baking soda. Do I add baking soda every time? Absolutely not. Sometimes I forget, and that's okay. When you add baking soda, because of the pH of the baking soda, which is at 8.3, it increases your body's ability to uptake the magnesium. So if you've got some baking soda, put it in. I like to do a quarter of a cup if I'm just soaking my feet in a bowl of water. If I'm in the bathtub, depending on the size of the bathtub, I have a little bathtub and my knees have to pop up. And so I just use 1 cup of water. My old bathtub back in Utah was a bigger bathtub, and I could lay out all relaxed, and I would put 2 cups of baking soda in. So tell me, for those of you that have joined me and hopped online, do you add baking soda when you soak? Have you done that before? Do you feel like it makes a difference? It does optimize your body's ability to uptake that magnesium. Now, the second part of Heather's question is one that we've talked, uh, I feel like numerous times. I don't know. You tell me if you've ever heard me talk about essential oils. Oh, Kelly just brought up something really good. She said, I have not, but I add boron. So we, the molecular size of what you're soaking in determines how much of it can penetrate your skin. Magnesium does very well. Boron is a little bit larger, and so you don't absorb as much of it, but you do absorb a little bit. And so Kelly adds boron. Now, that is for the specific benefits that boron are going to give her body, because boron holds magnesium in the cell so that you get more benefit from it. So I love that. And Amy says, yes, yes, I add baking soda. Oh, she adds Epsom salts. So Epsom salts are like a cousin. Think about, I like to say this. So my sisters and I are sisters, same mom, same dad. We are very different. I have a sister that can take apart a tractor engine and put it back together and figure out what's wrong with it. I don't do that. Like, not even. I can tell you what shoes I like. So we're similar in some ways, but we're very different in some ways. And that's how magnesium soak and Epsom salts are. So Epsom salts have magnesium, they also have sulfates. Magnesium soak is magnesium chloride, which has more magnesium, enough to move your red blood cell numbers, but there's no sulfates. And so you have to choose which pathway of magnesium you want for you. And a lot of people will add Epsom salts to their magnesium soak to get the benefits of the sulfates. Some people will add boron, some people will add Epsom salts. In my opinion, the number one thing to add is baking soda, because baking soda is going to optimize the uptake of the magnesium. So Corey, we are not talking about oral synthetic isolated magnesium. We are talking about magnesium soak, where you put magnesium in some water and you soak your feet or your body in the bathtub. My goal with magnesium is not just to take it orally and get a little bit of benefit. My goal with magnesium is achieving cell saturation, and you do that through soaking. And so for me, I personally would not take magnesium with L-threonate. Now, a lot of people will, because they say, oh my goodness, that's the one that's really good for your brain, and this kind of magnesium is really good for this. I achieved cell saturation, and there was a study done in 1999 that showed magnesium chloride, when soaking and achieving cell saturation, that it crossed the blood-brain barrier. So I don't have to double up and take all these different kinds of magnesium. I like to keep it simple. I achieve cell saturation. I am singular focused when it comes to magnesium, what my goal is, and it's cell saturation. And I achieve that through soaking in magnesium soak from Living the Good Life Naturally. Okay, so Choline says, I've often added baking soda and ended up with my RBC at 7.1. I stopped adding the baking soda, hearing that perhaps it could be problematic for some. My MAG dropped below 6.8. Choline, can I just say thank you for sharing that? And here's the beauty of community. And those of you who have shared and interacted, you've taken us to different places that we wouldn't have gone. And I'm so grateful for that, for Corey and for Michelle and Amy and Kelly. And now Colleen's taking us to a different place. The problem with adding baking soda in the water is some people, it will start to change the acid mantle on their skin. And so they start having some dry skin, tight skin. Their skin kind of starts to flake a little bit. And so that's why the baking soda can be problematic. So if you start, oops, there is my alarm, 7 o'clock. It's time to get ready for bed. Do you guys have alarms that keep you on track? I have so many alarms that keep me on track during the day. But I am going to push that out a little bit, not start my bedtime routine, because I think you and I are having a great conversation and I want to continue it. So, when that baking soda is an issue, now baking soda can be an issue orally in a completely different way. And we talked about that in, I think it was yesterday or the day before video. And my mouth's getting a little dry. Hold on, hold on. And putting it in the water that you soak your feet in can create a different problem. And so I personally wouldn't stop using the baking soda unless I started to have a problem with my skin. And then if I did, a couple things that I've noticed over the years, feedback from all of the people who have so generously allowed me to be a part of their journey and it opening that first gateway of health with magnesium and activating their vitamin D levels. And this is what I've learned, that if you're having a problem from the baking soda with the acid mantle on your skin, when you get out of the magnesium soak, if you will rinse off very well and dry your feet very well and use a nice, I tend to use magnesium lotion from Living the Good Life Naturally, use some magnesium lotion that will stop the acid mantle issues that the baking soda was causing. Because the baking soda, as Choline has talked about, really makes a difference when you're wanting to optimize your magnesium levels. And what level do we want? 6.3 or above. 6.3 or above. Now, the next question that Heather talked about that Team Good Life noticed and put on the dock for me to answer in a live was, what about essential oils? Essential oils is a completely different thing. So take everything that we talked about baking soda and set it aside, and let's talk about essential oils. Essential oils are powerful. They take a huge amount of plant material and they're condensed down into one tiny drop. And it's so powerful. And we know that our immune systems are weaker now than they were 3 years ago, than they were 5 years ago, than they were 10 years ago. The sad thing about society is we're getting sicker, not healthier. This is the first generation of kids who have ever walked the planet that have a lifespan that is not as good as the previous generation. So take the magnesium soak. It is a dermal penetrator, meaning it will take what's in the things in the water and pull it into your body, like the baking soda, like the boron, like the essential oil. Here's the problem, it brings it in fast. Years ago, for probably 7 or 8 years, I sat on a board with Robert Tisserand. a delightful Englishman who, if you are reading any books on essential oils and you look in the references, they have referenced the scientific research of Robert Tisserand. He's delightful. And his opinion was it is too disruptive to have your body take in the essential oil as fast as the magnesium's going. It is too disruptive, and it might not cause a problem the first time or the third time, but because our immune systems have a looser weave, imagine your immune system and it's supposed to be tightly woven for a strong immune system. And our immune systems are getting the weave is getting looser and looser. And so that essential oil goes in too fast. And then the immune system says, attack, attack. This is an attacker, but the essential oil is not. But the body's gotten a little confused and says it is. Therefore, that's why at the concentration that the magnesium soak is on, I personally would never add an essential oil. Do I use essential oils? Absolutely. I love them, but I don't combine the two. I have a healthy respect for each one and what those benefits are. Okay, so Heather, I hope that that helped you and answered those questions on the two questions that you had. Now, the next question, where did her name go? Let me find it here. Hold on while I look down. Oh, okay. Jessica. This next question Jessica had, and one of the social media posts that I put up was about my frustration, my absolute frustration when I see so many people in the natural realm of optimal health that will have you do this cleanse and that cleanse and this thing to heal your gut. But they never bring in the very first step to heal your gut. And that step is having a strong vitamin D panel. Because when you have strong vitamin D levels, your body naturally heals and seals your gut. Vitamin D actually plugs your gut because we know when you have gut issues, you have a leaky gut. And your body naturally knows how to take care of that if you have the proper steps in place. But here's what happens people will chase sealing their gut, healing their gut with all these different things before they have the first gate in place. And the first gate is strong magnesium levels to activate your vitamin D panel. Now, after you do that, then let's look at what you've got left over to see what needs to be taken care of. To me, that makes so much more sense and shortens the length of time. And do you know, have you ever met those people that is all they do is focus on their health? That's it. I don't want to be that person. I'm creating and have created health in my body to live a big life, not to spend my whole life creating health and stressing over the next thing that I need to do. And so I want the pathway simple. I want it backed by science. I want it quick, efficient, and I want it to make the journey easier. And optimizing your magnesium levels to optimize your vitamin D levels is the first gateway of health. It optimizes the journey, it makes it simpler, and it keeps it shorter and less expensive and less overwhelming. Those are all the things that I want. Now, are there gut things out there that need to be taken care of? Absolutely. Put the first gateway in place, the first step. Put it in place before you spend all the money and time on all of those different things to quote, heal your gut. And Jessica wanted to know, will this be the only thing I have to do so I don't have to do all those other things? I wish I could answer that, Jessica. And remember, I'm not a doctor. Hoo-hoo, not a doctor, not prescribing, not diagnosing, sharing my very opinionated opinion on this one. And that is, it might be. It could be. For some people, it will be. For someone with SIBO, absolutely. For small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, I've heard it pronounced by people I respect both ways. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, if you have that, no, it will not be the only step. If you don't have as many issues, absolutely, it could be the only step you need to do. It depends upon how degraded your gut is. So, Jessica, I hope that helped to shine a little bit of light and create conversation for you to go to your board of directors with some questions that will help you make the best decision for you. Okay, so Peggy had a question. Peggy Brennan, what magnesium would you take to help your body? And what magnesium helps with sleep? This is another pet peeve of mine, Peggy. It's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking it so that I can help create clarity around my magnesium advocacy that I've been focused on for the last 20 years. I don't take 9 different types of magnesium. I don't take one magnesium for this and another magnesium for that. I have one goal with magnesium: cell saturation. My red blood cell levels coming back at 6.3 or above. And I do that using Magnesium Soak from Living the Good Life Naturally. I soak my feet. I do not take synthetic, isolated oral nutrition. If you'll check out 2 videos back, we talk about the downfall of synthetic oral isolated nutrition. It's not a good fit. In fact, one of the other questions, I wished I would have written it down because I thought, I won't have time to get to that many, but it really dovetails with this one. And so this will be our last question that we talk about tonight because I wanted to keep it under 20 minutes and we're at 22. But let's finish this one up before we end our discussion about the benefit of charging your magnesium and optimizing your magnesium levels by understanding the science of pH that you're soaking in. So this lady said, Kristen, will the magnesium soak help my constipation? Because I've been using magnesium citrate to help my constipation. So let's go into a basic principle that I have: short-term solutions versus long-term solutions. When I was sick and when I was in the wheelchair, one of the things that got me to the point that I was always focusing on quick short-term solutions. So let me give you an example of that. I was tired all the time. And so I would slug Diet Coke all the time. Why? Because it was a quick solution, gave me energy, helped me focus, got me through that afternoon. Long term, it did not get me where I am now. Diet Coke was not a long term solution for my energy. Hold on, I can hear that weird sound because my mouth's dry again. It did not get me long-term benefits. It did get me short-term benefits, but there was long-term consequences. So when you take oral synthetic isolated magnesium citrate, it will help your bowels immediately. For some people, sometimes it helps them too much. But here's the problem: it is decreasing peristaltic action because your body says, oh, you're using magnesium to move bowels? Okay, I'll quit creating peristaltic action. and your bowels get lazy. If you don't use that muscle, you lose it. So then people will start to understand about magnesium and synthetic nutrition and soaking in magnesium and achieving cell saturation. And they'll say, Kristen, will that magnesium from living the good life naturally help my constipation? The answer to that is yes and no. Yes, as a long-term solution, because soaking in magnesium chloride has been shown to increase peristaltic action as you maintain cell saturation. But it's not going to give you a quick solution like the magnesium citrate. And if you've been taking magnesium citrate, okay, I have this one curl right here. My hair did crazy curl today. For those of you with curly hair, you know it has a life of its own. And that one curl is driving me crazy. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Squirrel. Okay. Back on point. So, no, it will not, quote, give you benefit the day that you soak because soaking in magnesium bypasses digestion. So you're not going to get that benefit. But as you soak in magnesium and you bring up your red blood cell number, you are going to increase peristaltic action. And again, for some people, that's all you need to get your bowels moving again. For other people, their T4 to T3 conversion has dropped, and T4 to T3 conversion helps get bowels and keeps bowels moving. So for some people, it will be enough. For other people, it won't be. I love my Miracle Tea. I thought that was a really dorky name for the product. I have it on the website, livingthegoodlifenaturally.com, my Miracle Tea. And it is an herbal tea that will also help increase peristaltic action, and it will also do it that day, where soaking in magnesium soak will not move your bowels that day and give you relief. It will increase your peristaltic action, which is mandatory for optimal health. And so, if you've been using synthetic oral nutrition to keep your bowels moving, I would now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I would do. I'm not a doctor. So, you take this back to your board of directors and determine what the best fit for you is. What I did was I soaked in magnesium, achieved cell saturation, and used my Miracle Tea to help that process get to where it needed to be. So, um, that is a long answer, Peggy, to the magnesium that I move. And it also hopefully answered the question that someone asked online about, is it going to help me move my bowels like the magnesium citrate does? I take one type of magnesium and I achieve cell saturation with it. And my body has the wisdom and the knowledge once I achieve cell saturation to put the magnesium where it needs to be. And if you're wanting to supercharge your magnesium soak from living the good life naturally, add a quarter cup of baking soda. It will optimize your body's ability to uptake the magnesium. And don't fall for the lie. Here's the lie that magnesium cell saturation is at 5. They dropped the standard years ago. They dropped the standard because nobody was getting there. Just because society is willing to be sick, I'm not dropping my standard. So I kept my standard at 6.3. 6.3, I kept my standard. Choline, bought more my Miracle Tea. I okay, my Miracle Tea to me is not a supplement, choline. To me, it's a daily food I take, a daily herbal food I take to benefit my liver, enzymes, and my gut. It's just a daily. Now, I take much less than I used to, and I am so glad that you have gotten your mom off of Miralax. Oh my goodness. I am so glad That what a beautiful, loving daughter to get your mom off of Miralax with the My Miracle tea. So the magnesium soak will help me sleep at 66 years. Yes, it will. Now, depending on your melatonin levels, that will determine how fast it helps you. And remember, Peggy, melatonin is you determine every day how much melatonin your body produces that night for sleep. So in the morning, before 10, depending on where you're at, before 10 to 11 a.m. in the morning, that morning sunshine, the red in that morning sunshine, when you get that in your eyes, that determines how much melatonin your body will produce at night. And so when you get up in the morning and you're getting that beautiful, unfiltered morning sunshine in your eyes, and you've got magnesium cell saturation, that starts to put your circadian rhythm on the track to optimize sleep. For some people, that will be enough. For others, they will have to put more things in place. And I've noticed over the last 20 years that it really depends on calcium dominance. It really makes a difference where your calcium dominance is, how quickly the magnesium can benefit your sleep, because magnesium is the original chill pill mineral. Like that's what it does. It relaxes, and it's the original chill mineral. And you can go to livingthegoodlifenaturally.com. And if you want to do the 30-day challenge, which I recommend, feel free to use my personal coupon code K10, and that'll give you 10% off of your order. And you will need 2 bottles of the magnesium to follow through to do the 30-day challenge. Now, some people don't do the 30-day challenge. In fact, I just did a TikTok and my question was, which pathway are you on for magnesium? Some people just want to soak and get the benefit. And when their muscles feel a little tight, they soak and they're done. And that's a pathway, and that's fine if that's your pathway. My pathway is cell saturation. And so I did the 30-day challenge, and now I do maintenance soaking. Do not, well, it's up to you, but I don't think anyone should feel guilty if their pathway is just using the magnesium soak to sleep a little better that night, to relax a little bit more, or to help if they've got restless leg syndrome. No worries. There is no shame in doing it that way. Each of us get to decide for ourselves which way we are going to utilize magnesium and how deep we dive on knowing our own individual magnesium levels. Oh, Peggy, get out in that morning sunshine. Get out in that morning sunshine. And if you can walk, because people who have a hard time sleeping have usually, again, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not diagnosing. Usually people who have a sleep issue also have an insulin sensitivity issue, and their cells have lost the sensitivity to insulin. There is nothing more powerful at restoring that than walking. And so let's think about this. You soak in magnesium, you walk, and you get the morning sunshine. 3 of the first things that I think everyone should do if they have a problem with anything, because it comes down to how the cell is utilizing insulin, where your magnesium levels are, and walking fixes the insulin and the cell. Even if you don't have blood sugar numbers, most people have a resistance to that insulin on their cells. And then you soak in magnesium later in the day, And those 3 things, just keeping it simple, you're activating your stored and active vitamin D, you're reducing inflammation, you're increasing melatonin, which determines longevity and how you sleep. How you sleep determines your hormones. Just those 3 things, Peggy. You have just conquered so many things, but we tend to overcomplicate it and we chase after all these different things. Those 3 things will boost thyroid function. Those 3 things will boost neurotransmitter, how you uptake neurotransmitter activity. Those 3 things will boost the telomeres in your body, and that determines how you age. I got to grab a little bit more water. So it's incredible what just those 3 simple things will do. Okay, what is the recommended soak schedule after the 30-day challenge? Casey, I love this question. And maintenance soaking, I realize I don't talk about as much because so many people are asking me questions about the 30-day challenge. So I really appreciate you bringing this question up so that I can talk about this for people because I'm starting to get more and more questions about this. So you do the 30-day challenge and you get your blood tested. And when you get your magnesium red blood cell, ideally 3 days after ending your 30-day challenge, and it comes back and your results are 6.1. Oh, you're so close to cell saturation. You are so close. At that point, I would soak 2 times a week. Now, somebody else will come back and they'll do the 30-day challenge and their numbers will come back at 5. And they will be so discouraged. Usually, they need to soak more often. And so I would have them actually soak like 5 times a week because we've still got to move those numbers. Now, someone else will get their numbers back and they will soak, and the numbers will come back 4.2. Oh, and sometimes they cry and they're really bummed out. If your numbers come in under 5, you have a crack in your foundation, and we've got to figure out what it is. Because again, okay, understand where I'm coming from. Like, you've never met me, Casey. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, other than I have amazingly, beautifully perfect grandchildren. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I want to do things quickly and efficiently. Quickly and efficiently. I want the minimum input for maximum output. So, for example, in the morning when I'm getting ready, I have a hook that I don't have to take 5 steps to hang my night clothes on because I don't want to take 5 steps to put them on like a bedside table. It's more efficient, it's faster. Everything I do, I've watched the system to see how can I make that more efficient. Part of that is because I'm so ADD and it helps me not have to have as many steps. The other part, I have big dreams, big things that I do with my husband, my kids, and my grandkids. And I don't want to be spending time inside. I want to be outside doing those things. That's why I am that's why I created help. And so I want to be as efficient as possible. Like everything that I do, how I meal plan, my clothing, how I plan my clothing, everything I do is to be as efficient as possible. So when I approach soaking, if I've been doing this for 20 years, over 10,000 people with soaking. So a lot of people. And I noticed a pattern. when they were under 5 on that test, their numbers never moved. If they just continued to soak, like, well, I'm under a 5, I'm just going to soak more. That wasn't enough to move their numbers. Now, if you come in at a 5.2, you can usually, realizing, there's some flexibility in here. If you come in at 5.2, you can usually continue to soak and pull your numbers up. If you're coming in below 5, you could soak every day for 2 years, which means you're wasting money on magnesium. Worse than that, you're wasting time that you can never get back, and you're not getting the full benefit and impact of magnesium. So that's why I think it's so incredibly important to get your numbers tested. And if you're under a 5, we need to look at some different things. Help me. Would it be beneficial if I shared the things to look at? Like, if you'll give me some feedback. Here's the thing. I c- I ugh, I don't want to be that person that just nah and nah and nah and nah, because I could sit here and talk for 5 hours. I want to talk about things that are helpful to you. So, would you tell me if that would be helpful to you to know the things to look at if your blood work comes back at below 5? Is there, for those of you who are joining me right now, um, if that would be beneficial, we can run into that. Oh, Peggy, you are you are so incredibly kind, and thank you. I felt that gratitude, and that was such a sweet comment. Okay, Casey, let's go here. If you come in below a 5, there are different things we need to look at, and I call it a crack in your foundation, which means every time you soak, you're leaking magnesium, and that's not efficient. It wastes time and money. And I don't know about you, but I wasted, because I was so sick, seizure. I had a failed surgery, an allergic reaction to titanium. I I lost 3.5 years. I don't even remember my children during that 3.5 years. I was so sick. And I chased things. Like, I'd chase after this fix. I'd chase after that fix. I'd buy this supplement. I'd buy that supplement. And it wasted tens of thousands of dollars of my family's resources. And so I'm passionate about doing things to be as effective as possible. And so if you come in at a 5 or below, you could soak in magnesium every day for 2 years, and I don't see it moving your numbers because you have a crack and the magnesium is draining through that crack. So here are the things that I found. We need to look at your sugar intake, because every time you eat sugar, your sugar eats up the magnesium. How much sugar are you eating? How much processed foods are you eating that are turning right into sugar? We need to look at that. Where's your soda consumption? Are you a soda drinker? Because that drains magnesium more quickly. We need to look at medications that you're on. Not that we need to change the medications. That's inappropriate of me to even talk about that. You need to look at those medications and determine, oops, I just knocked my mic, which is obnoxious on the sound. We need to determine, are those medications draining your magnesium? So, for example, metformin drains magnesium and B12. And so we know we've got to do some things to plug that drain. So we need to look at medications. We also need to look at sleep. If you're someone who's sleeping 4 hours a night, you are pushing your body beyond capacity, and that drains your magnesium levels. We need to look at pain levels. Is your pain, for example, someone with migraines? I have a daughter. We finally put the pieces together, but she used to have almost daily horrific migraines. Well, her pain level kept her magnesium drained, because when your pain goes up, you push magnesium out through your urine. So we need to look at pain levels. We need to look at rate. Okay, this one's let's talk about the easy ones. B12. We need to look at B vitamins. They're cofactors for magnesium. You might need to add those. We need to look at taurine, simple amino acid. And if you're short on it, you can't hold your magnesium in the cell. So easy to supplement with a little bit of taurine to get that magnesium in your cell and to hold it there. We need to maybe look at boron. Boron's not appropriate for everyone. If you have a testosterone issue, it will make it worse. Some people, it's a game changer, though. We need to look at inflammation, which connects with boron. We also need to look at shame and rage. Now, rage is easy to see. Have you ever seen someone who's raged? You know they're raging. You can see it physically outside of their body. That drains magnesium. Shame cycles are an internal rage that drain magnesium that other people don't see. I cannot tell you how many women are driven by shame, do not realize it, feel guilty for things that there's no reason for them to feel guilty. That guilty feeling is indicative that there's a shame cycle happening. And a shame cycle is internal rage that decreases magnesium, which means there's some inner work to do. Another thing that can drop magnesium levels for women. Now, remember, my focus is women. My goal is to help be a part of women feeling so good that they're doing and creating these amazing things and making this world a better place for children. That's what drives me. That's why Living the Good Life Naturally is here. If someone would have felt better and could have stopped what happened to me as a child, my children would have had access to the true me as a mother instead of all the layers of pain that they experienced. And so I want to be a part of helping women show up as themselves, not women that have all of these reactions and triggers that were happening, because I was a very triggered mom and it cost my children. And so I want to be a part of the solution that women show up to make the world better for children. And we need to look at the shame and the guilt cycle. And so many women are operating from a place of male energy. So a woman's body, her center of power is her hips. That's her power point, our hips. Men's power point, shoulders. Their shoulders are stronger in the way that their bodies are made. So many women feel burdened. And when you're burdened here as a woman, you're operating from a male point of view. Now, there are times, because we have testosterone, there are times we need that male perspective and that male point of view, but it's not our main operating system. And I know you can't see here in my office, but I'm right now I'm on Windows, but I have an iPad, a MacBook, and an iPhone right over here. And if I'm on my MacBook and I'm operating Control V, my MacBook will never copy and paste. It doesn't matter if I prayed over it, if I manifested over it, if I thought good thoughts, if I kept telling myself, you can do this, come on, because I'm operating in the wrong operating system and the communication will never connect. And as women, many of us are operating in the wrong operating system. And when we do that, it increases our magnesium burn rate. And the magnesium that we should have had to balance hormones and boost thyroid and bump up adrenals is being pushed out because we're in the wrong operating system. And so sometimes The only thing that needs to happen to get the magnesium above a 5 is for someone to have the courage to do the inner work. Now, it's the I know, and now you're probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, all this stuff." You can just soak in magnesium and enjoy the benefits. Or you can take a pathway that is a little bit more detailed and it has a little bit more twists and turns, but it has the ability to activate your vitamin D and it has the ability to put you standing in a place of power that you've been missing. And it's incredible to watch that process. There's nothing wrong with just for those of you who are on right now that are like, what's she talking about? Like, oh my goodness, I just want to soak in magnesium. You can. You can just soak in magnesium. A lot of women, it opens their eyes to recognizing I'm not standing in the place I want to be because they start feeling better. And when they start feeling better, they realize I'm not living the way I want to live. I'm not talking the way I want to talk. I'm not creating the way I want to create. And that is where I get excited because when that happens, she's about ready to really start creating change and she starts lifting people around her. It's a natural gift that women have. We want to make things better for other people. It just naturally happens for most. And so making sure that we're standing in that place of feminine energy actually decreases our burn rate so that our body has more access to magnesium, which I can't even believe we went there. I wasn't going to go there. Peggy, I am on metformin and don't sleep well. Okay, so part of that is, and I'm not saying go off the metformin, talk to your doctor about the nutrients. And there's a really great book. It's by Susie Cohen. She's a pharmacist. Oh, what's the name of it? It's white and it has all the medications. I think everyone should have it. I've got it on my iPad. Has all the medications and what nutrients those medications deplete. And is what I'll do is I will link it after I get off here. I'll find it and I'll link it. Now, I used to be an Amazon affiliate and I dropped it. So I'm not making money off of it. I'm not getting a percentage, but I will link that book for you so that you can check it out on Amazon. I think every house needs it because if you're on that medication, we want to know what things are that medication stripping out of your body so that you can be aware of that. Oh my gosh, Joya, you are so kind. Um, I, it, when, and I choose to get on social media, it's my choice. You open yourself up for a lot of opinions and comments and things like that. And so sometimes on a public forum like this, I won't go into that kind of detail as much, and I save that for when it's a smaller, more intimate group of women that I know are like, "Oh, let's run with this and really dive deep." And so I didn't mean to go there, but thank you for telling me that you enjoyed that. So the strong sun at 3 to 4 p.m. Oh, Peggy, this is a great question, which I love your hair, by the way. Absolutely beautiful hair. This is a great question. The sun, as it goes through its cycle during the day, has different gifts to give us, has different levels of color to give us. In the morning, in fact, the very best is sunrise as it comes up. That's when it's giving us red light. There are thousands of studies done on the benefits of red light. Red light is what increases our body's ability to create melatonin. And so it's the morning sun. So at 3 to 4 p.m., you're getting different benefits from the sun than you would in the morning. And where sleep is an issue, we want that morning sun, that red light sun, and that red light will be at its very strongest, the sunrise as it comes up. In fact, Peggy, one of the things, hold on while I grab some more water. That mic picks up when my mouth's dry and it sounds annoying to me on feedback. One of the things that I'm getting ready to do is last year I did what's called a walk. I just called it a Walk With Me series. I live here in Morro Bay, California, and I am very close to the ocean. And so I just get up in the morning as the sun's coming up, and I have a little recording rig that I walk down the beach, and we just talk about melatonin and masculine energy and female energy, and how can you tell the difference if you're in male or female, magnesium. I mean, we talk all sorts of things. And so I'm getting ready to do another one of those, the ultimate time of day to get the most amount of red light from the sun that will signal to your eyes that it is time for your pineal to kick in and tell your body to produce more melatonin is as the sun's rising, and then especially that next hour, and then it starts to decrease until about 10 o'clock. Now, you have to be careful. Like right now, I've got these glasses on, and you can probably see my computer reflecting because they're blue light glasses. I don't want to be in front of the blue light during the day. I'm on the computer a lot. And so I put on these blue light glasses. I would not wear these glasses if I were outside wanting to get that red sun, because these glasses filter. And so you want the naked eye to pull in that red light. Where would you go to do the inner work? What type of inner work is needed to stop shame cycles and getting out of masculinity? So I had a program, and I'm going to not cry. I had a program called Core 7, and it was one of the most fulfilling things to me personally. Living the Good Life Naturally has been in business now for over 20 years. And that Core 7 program and that group of women were the most personally fulfilling experience. And the last 10 weeks, the business has exploded. So, for example, my oldest daughter runs the warehouse there in Utah, and she can make 3,000 jars of magnesium muscle cream. And last year, that would have lasted 4 months. This year didn't last 2 weeks. And so when I say exploded, like exploded, and not just for one day, not just for 5 days, not just for 10 days, consistently every single day. Typically, Saturday and Sunday sales go down. Typically, March and April sales go down. They're not going down, and they've exploded every single day. And so it's so important to me that when I am done with living the good life naturally, when I retire, that I don't look at my family and look at my business and say, oh, my business was thriving, and wow, I didn't do such a great job with my family. And something had to give, because with the growth of the business, there are different challenges. The suppliers that we've used, I can't use anymore because they can't get me enough supply. So I had to vet and test and find new suppliers. I don't take that lightly, and it takes 30, 40, sometimes up to 60 hours to do that. And so something had to give. I couldn't carry all of those plates. And it started about January, me realizing I can't do all of these things, and I kind of felt like I was failing all of them. And so long story short, oh, you'll find out I'm long-winded. Anyway, long story short, I stopped Core 7, the program that I had that we talked healthy things and we did the inner work. And be really proud of me that I can say that I stopped Core 7 and I'm not sobbing because I have this hole in my life from not having it. And so as I've really evaluated, Core 7 was lots of, it had tons of things in it. And so as I've evaluated, I am bringing back not Core 7, but I am bringing back a program that is the healthy things that we've talked about and the inner work, because the two go hand in hand. You can have a woman who's eating perfectly and is doing all the things and she's not getting healthy because she's not working on the inner work. If her nervous system is dysregulated, I don't care what she does over here to do all the healthy things, she'll never create health, which means she is wasting years of her life trying to get healthy and she still doesn't feel good, which means she's not making a difference in the lives of the people around her. And I don't want to be a part of that. And so doing the inner work and doing the healthy things and doing them together are so important. And so as what I'm doing is I'm bringing back a simplified version. It will not have all the bells and whistles because behind the scenes of that program that I was running, it was a full-time job for numerous people. And so I'm bringing back a very simplified version, and it is going to not me talking about the inner work, because I think you can do programs and you get hooked on the dopamine of learning, and it's a quick fix of dopamine, but you're not changing anything in your life. And I got stuck on that, doing all these programs, and then the program was over and I reverted back. And so what I'll be starting in the next 4 to 6 weeks will be the life stuff and the inner work stuff, and bringing it together very, very simply and offering to people in a way that is incredibly inexpensive and incredibly simple for them to access. So anyway, that's there we are there. Um, when you don't sleep, oh, it is, Peggy, when you don't sleep, sunrise is so incredibly hard. And so here's what you do. If you're up and this is where we have what we know, and then we have real life. We have optimal and we have real life. Optimal is sunrise. Peggy, if you're not sleeping at night, that's not going to happen. Let's just get real. And this is where no shame, no guilt. This is where the shame spiral and the guilt could burn your magnesium. If you walk away from this time you and I have spent together, Peggy, and you're beating yourself up, oh my gosh, and I'm not saying you'd say these words, I'm over exaggerating. Oh my gosh, I feel so guilty. Like, she told me something I needed to do and I just can't do it. Oh, I'm never going to get healthy. And so you could use that information to not get healthy and beat yourself up and go into a shame spiral and lose even more magnesium. And so that's optimal, sunrise. We're not going to start out at optimal, Peggy. And so is there a way that you could get out in that sunshine before 10 o'clock ever? Because that's real life. And optimal doesn't happen unless you're an influencer trying to sell something on social media and then you show the world optimal, but you're really living real life. And I'm convinced the more influencers I know, how that's the norm, not the exception. And then we all compare ourselves to those people that we're not doing what that person is doing. So, Peggy, could you maybe get 2 days in the next 7 days that you get some sunshine? Just 10 minutes, 5 minutes of sunshine? Because guess what? That's a start. And that gets you healthy. When you start soaking in magnesium and understand how to charge it to optimize the pH, and you get a little bit of that beautiful morning sunshine, maybe at 9:30, from 9:30 to 9:35. That's someone who's taking responsibility and optimizing their life to be healthy versus the person who's beating themselves up that they can't get up at sunrise because they're too tired. Oh, I am so glad that that has motivated you to get that red light, because that's what these are all about, is to get you thinking, to get you asking maybe some different questions, and hopefully that you walk away motivated. That is my goal. Um, yes, Megan is feeling so much better. It's she has such an ability to push because she was a lifelong migraine sufferer. And is what I should do is I can actually bring her on. I won't this call, but I'll ask her, "Hey, daughter, would you be willing to come on a live with me? Because I would love for her to share with you some of her toolkit and what she did to manage a life of migraines, because she maintained a warehouse, she kept a full-time job, she has beautiful, amazing friends that she stayed connected with, all while being a chronic migraine sufferer. And so I think that would make a great life. So, oh, can you ask my age? Absolutely. I have 6 children. My name is Kristen. I have 6 children. I am a grandma of 6. I have been married for 36 years. Huh, we've got a 6 number happening a lot, and I'm 57 years old. And my skin looks better now than it did 15 years ago. And that's because of magnesium, because magnesium moves the nutrients through your skin. And when you're magnesium deficient, you're not moving nutrients through your skin. So, thank you so much for joining me today and being a part of this Q&A that I had. I hope that Jessica and Heather and the other questions, I hope that you're walking away with some information, not to beat yourself up with, but some understanding of how to soak in magnesium from living the good life naturally and optimize the pH so you activate your vitamin D levels, open the first gateway of health because you have achieved cell saturation. Have a beautiful evening. Bye bye. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so, so very welcome. Bye bye, guys.